Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be testing out and reviewing the Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation from Urban Decay, as well as their correcting concealer. I'm going to be testing both of them out together. Now let's start off with some basic information for the foundation. It can be found in 50 different shades and it retails for $39 US. You get your typical full fluid ounce worth of product, and it has a shelf life of 12 months. So you have an entire year to use it all up. Now, when choosing a shade for the foundation, I really didn't know which one to grab, and so I had to use the shade finder tool that is on the Sephora website, and based on that, I grabbed the shade 51 Double N, which I think might be a little bit too deep, just a little bit, but we'll see. I swatched it and compared it to some of my other foundations, and I think it may be a little bit too deep. When I went into Sephora in order to exchange some other concealers, I actually wanted to try and find a different shade, but I was looking at 50 Double N and they didn't have it. Didn't have it in stock. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with 51 Double N, and yeah, I think I can make it work. Hopefully it's not too incredibly deep, but we'll see. Now, as far as the product description for this foundation, it does claim to be a waterproof foundation that is long wearing and lightweight, so it feels like nothing when you have it on the skin. It is a flexible and breathable formula that is also going to help minimize pores. And when they're talking about long wearing, it says, even on the box, it says that you can wear this for up to 24 hours. 24 hours. That's a long time. So today I'm going to try to test it out for about 9 to 10 hours to see how it wears for me throughout the entire day. Now, depending on what type of coverage you're looking for, that is how you're going to apply it onto the face. If you're looking for light coverage, then they do recommend that you use it with the Urban Decay Pro Diffusing Blush Brush. For medium coverage, they suggest a blending sponge, and for full coverage, you can use a flat brush. So I'm assuming like a flat dense brush. I think I'm gonna go with medium coverage, and maybe perhaps I can build it up a little bit to full coverage if I need it in certain areas, but for today's video, I'm gonna stick with medium coverage and see what that looks like on the skin. And lastly, this is a vegan formula with a real skin matte finish. Next, let's talk about the concealer. The concealer retails for $29 US, and it comes in 25 different shades. I grabbed the shade 50 Double N to try out today. You get 0.35 fluid ounces worth of product, and it has a shelf life of, does it say? Oh yes, right here, 6 months. Now, as far as what it does, the website describes it exactly as the foundation. It is a breathable, flexible formula that has a real skin matte finish. It too is vegan, and it is long wearing and waterproof, just like the foundation. So let's test it out and see exactly what we are left with. This is supposed to provide you with buildable full coverage. So depending on what I see initially, I may need to build it up. Maybe not, we'll see. As far as the pro tips for application for the concealer, it doesn't go over exactly how to best apply it. So I'm just going to apply it the way that I normally would apply my concealers. It just goes over how to spot treat and how to highlight. So in case you want to cover up a blemish or something along the face, you're not trying to highlight, then you want to pick out a concealer that's as close to your skin tone as possible. Now, if you're trying to highlight, it does recommend that you use a concealer that is a shade or two lighter than your natural color. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I am going to be testing this concealer out with and without a corrector underneath it, just to see what type of coverage this truly does provide. As far as the foundation, I'm not going to be applying anything underneath, so I'm not using any kind of a primer. I'm just going to be applying it on top of moisturized skin. If the concealer does start to settle into fine lines, and then I am going to be setting the under eye area. If the foundation feels a little too sticky and it's not really drying down to something that's comfortable, then I'll set the face as well. But other than that, I'm not planning on doing anything. Okay, so I'm going to be applying a color corrector underneath the right side here, underneath the eye. And I'm just using my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector in the shade Medium to Deep. I'll have it listed down below in case you're curious. All right, so now let's move on to the foundation. Hopefully, oh yeah, I think it might work out. I think it might be a little bit too deep. hopefully not. I'm just using like a pump and a half. That's what that looks like. Because I know that my sponge is going to absorb some of the product. So I don't want to use too little, but I don't want to use too much. So I'm just going to start off with a pump and a half. That's what it looks like. It feels really lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy or like overly creamy whatsoever, at least not here. Let's see. Oh, this might be a little too deep for me. All right, so there is 1/2 done. I like it. I really like the way that it looks. It feels really lightweight, very comfortable. It's already starting to dry down a little bit. So I don't believe I'm gonna have to set this at all. It feels really nice on the skin and it evened everything out. I'm gonna try to add a little bit more right here to see what that looks like. I don't know if y'all can see, but I have a little tiny blemish right here. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so there is 1/2 done and 1/2 without. Now let me zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at my skin with the foundation. All right, so this is the side with 1 layer of foundation, but remember I did build it up right here a little bit. So that's more like full coverage to me right here, but it's still very comfortable. And this is the side without any foundation. All right, so let's finish off the rest of my skin. Yeah, you see, it's a little too deep. You see that? Okay, so the shade worked out, I feel. I don't look too off, so it's fine for today, that's for sure. If it does work out though, I feel like I am probably gonna have to buy 1 shade lighter, just so that I have that available to me for the upcoming winter months, because I'm not going to get any more color on my skin for the rest of the year, that is for sure. Now I am going to do a little experiment. So there is a light layer of foundation here that's left over. I don't know if y'all can see, because this foundation actually matches my hand quite well. I don't know, now I'm confused. But anyway, it does match really well. However, I do have, oh, you can see it here. I do have a layer of foundation right here on the back of my hand where I spread it out, and that's what I was grabbing from. So it does claim to be waterproof. Now I am gonna be washing my hands, but I'm gonna try not to get too much soap back here, just to see whether or not it does survive a full day of being, you know, dunked in water, if you will. So I'm gonna keep this here, and then yeah, we'll see what, if any, foundation we're left with on the back of the hand. Okay, so now let's move on to concealer. Now I'm gonna try to be pretty light-handed since it is buildable. I'm not going to go too heavy too soon. So I'm gonna just apply some here to like the darker area. And this little doe foot applicator, it's like really, it's curved. It grabs quite a bit of product. I just had to wipe some of it off. Otherwise I was gonna be left with a lot of product underneath the eyes. So I'm mostly concentrating the product here and here, like inner corner, and then I'm gonna blend it out. And the way that I am blending it out is with my Deluxe Crease Brush. This one's from Real Techniques. I love using this brush underneath the eyes. So I'm gonna start off on this side. All right, so there's one side done. I feel like I'm getting pretty good coverage, but I don't know. I think I want to add a little bit more because I don't feel like it's enough. I don't know if y'all can see, but I can still see my dark circles like right here. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little tiny bit more. I figured with the brush, it would spread the product around more evenly without it being absorbed by the brush, and so I would have more product sitting on top of my skin, but I just don't feel like that was enough coverage. So I'm gonna add a little bit more, as you saw, that much more, and now I'm gonna blend that out and see what it leaves me with. Okay, so that is much better, a lot a lot more coverage. Once I added that second layer, now I feel good. Now I feel like this is full coverage. Now let's move on to this side and see what that looks like. All right, so there it is. Under eye is finished. The foundation is finished. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to set the under eye area. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I am. I don't know if you can see, but here it's already settling into my fine lines right here. And it's settling in over here a little bit as well. So I am gonna set it with my Pat McGrath Labs setting powder. Just gonna grab a little bit of that with my sponge. Shake off the excess. So I'm gonna set it with very little powder. I don't want to overdo it and then have the under eye area look really, really dry. Since this is supposed to leave us with a real skin matte finish, that I just don't want to make it look excessively dry. So I'm gonna set it with just a tiny bit of powder and see if that helps. All right, now the other side. Okay, so that definitely helped, and I like the way that it looks. Doesn't look bad at all, although I think I prefer it. No, you know what? Similar coverage. All right, so now that everything is set and ready to go, I'm going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look underneath the eyes after initial application. All right, so here is the under eye. As far as coverage, I feel like I'm getting similar coverage both with and without a corrector underneath it. However, this isn't full coverage. And I did add a little bit more to this side at least. So this side does not only have 2 layers of concealer, but it also has the color corrector, and I can still see my dark circles. So it's not full coverage, not to me, but it doesn't look bad. All right, so now that you've seen everything up close, I'm simply going to jump off camera in order to finish up the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. All right, so now I am back, makeup is done. I really, really like this foundation. I love what it's doing to the skin. Like I said earlier, it evened everything out, and I did not have to set it with a powder whatsoever. It is sitting very comfortably on top of my face. I don't feel like I have any foundation on right now. Actually, it did dry down to a very comfortable matte, so it doesn't feel excessively dry, and it doesn't feel heavy whatsoever. I did not have to set the forehead. As you can see, I'm pretty shine free kind of all around right now. The only thing that I set was the under eye area, and that's what you all saw. Everything looks really, really nice though. As for my skin, I am oily here along the T-zone, and I'm normal everywhere else. So if this foundation is not going to keep me matte, I will certainly know halfway through the day. I'll definitely see it here along the T-zone. Like I said, I didn't set anything other than the under eye area, so that is what I am working with. It is currently 10:20 in the morning. I do plan on wearing this the entire day, and I am going to be coming back halfway through the day in order to show you all some close-ups and to talk to you all a little bit about how the foundation and the concealer have been wearing up to that point. So I will see you all back here in a few hours for my midday check-in. Okay, so now I am back from my midday check-in. It is currently 3:02 in the afternoon. So I've had this concealer along with the foundation on now for a little over like 4.5 hours, I believe. Maybe almost going on 5. 4.5 hours for sure though. Now before I go into my thoughts currently on the foundation and on the concealer, I'm going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at everything that is on my face right now after about 4.5 hours of wear. Okay, so this is the current situation on the left side of my face, and I feel like the foundation still looks great. It's still there. It hasn't worn off or rubbed off onto anything. And I have a similar situation going on over here on the right. As far as the forehead, I feel like the foundation is still pretty matte. I don't see my lights bouncing off of my forehead too much. Maybe perhaps a little bit of shine right here and a little bit of shine right here, but overall, not too bad. Around my smile lines right here, the foundation, I haven't noticed it settling in there, which is always a plus. Now, as far as the concealer, I feel like it looks just a little bit dry, but I did set it with a powder and it is a matte concealer. So those two things together, yeah, it's a little dry. As far as coverage though, I feel like it still looks the same as it did this morning. So I don't believe that I've lost any coverage with this concealer. The only issue is that it is starting to look a little bit dry. All right, and that is all that I have for my midday check-in. Overall, not bad, especially the foundation. I'm really liking the foundation. The concealer, you know, it's all right. Not the best, not the worst. As of right now, it's still okay. It's still wearable, but we'll see how we finish off the day. I do plan on continuing to wear these products for about another 5 hours or so, just to give it a full day's worth of wear per usual. So I will see you all back here in a few hours for my final thoughts on these two new products from Urban Decay. All right, so it is finally the end of my day. It is currently 7:43. So I've had this foundation and this concealer on now for what seems like forever, but it's not forever. 9 hours? How long has it been? Yes, 9 hours, a little over 9 hours. Now, before I jump into my overall opinion on both products, I'm going to zoom you all in one last time so that you can get a better look at my skin and of course at the under eye area after a little over 9 hours of wear. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the left side. As you can see, everything still looks the same from this morning. I'm not noticing my pores being accentuated in any way, shape, or form. If anything, I do feel like they are a little bit blurred. I mean, that's not really a spot that I pay a lot of attention to, so I can't say for sure, but it looks pretty smooth overall. And of course, I have a similar situation over on the right. Now, as for whether or not this foundation kept me matte, I would say no. It did not keep me completely matte. As you can see, there is some shine peeking through my forehead, which, you know, I wasn't surprised by because that's the norm for me, and I didn't set the foundation with anything, but it didn't stay matte. Now, along the mouth, lines are not accentuated, and it's been a full day, and I did not see any product collecting in my fine lines. So that's absolutely a plus. All right, and this is the current situation underneath the eyes. As you can see, not completely concealed at this point. I don't think it ever really was throughout the day. Now that I think about it, I don't think it ever really got completely concealed with this concealer, the under eye area at least. It looks a little tiny bit dry, but aside from that, it wears comfortably. It's really lightweight. It does not feel heavy whatsoever. Even though I did add a couple of layers to this right side, it doesn't feel heavy at all to me. So certainly some pros, but for me, there are a couple cons as well. All right, so there you have it. That is what I am left with at the end of a 9-hour day. And I really like the foundation. I actually really enjoyed it. The shade may be a little bit off, but I can always purchase the next shade up or down, depending on how you're looking at it, just a little bit lighter, so that I can wear it throughout the winter months because I do lose a little bit of color during those months. Now the foundation itself wore beautifully. I really love the way that my skin looks. I love the fact that you can customize the coverage. So depending on how you apply it, that is the type of coverage that you will get. I wanted medium coverage, which I certainly got. However, I was able to build it up to full coverage in certain spots and it built up no problem. I love that. It feels really comfortable, very lightweight, true to what it says. As far as being waterproof, I don't know if y'all can see, but it's still there. Like the swatch or the layer of foundation that I had from this morning, it's still there. So I would call this pretty waterproof. I didn't see it come off on anything that I rubbed up against. So as far as transferring, I would say you're pretty okay in that area as well. Overall, I really like the foundation. Did it keep me matte throughout the entire day? No, it did not, but this is okay. A little bit of shine on my forehead, I'm not mad at. I am totally okay with that. It can get a little bit excessive sometimes, and that's when I'm like, okay, I need a blot or I need a little bit of powder or something, but this didn't get excessive. So I really like the foundation. Now, as for the concealer, I actually really like it. I really like the concealer. It does not feel heavy. It does not look heavy. It looks just a little tiny bit dry, but aside from that, it's doing a good job at staying put and not moving around, not breaking up, not settling into my fine lines. Certainly didn't do that after I set it with the powder, but I think the powder did make it look a little bit dry, just a little bit dry. However, the only issue that I'm having with this particular concealer is that it claims to be full coverage, but I don't feel like I was able to achieve full coverage with it. I mean, I applied a color corrector on the side, and I also applied a couple layers of concealer. Granted, they were not like, you know, heavy layers of concealer, but you know, there were 2 layers nonetheless, and I still feel like I can see my darkness underneath, which I'm okay with, I'm fine with, but that just to me doesn't say full coverage, at least not to me. Like my under eye area is just pretty stubborn, so it's very rare that I run into a concealer that completely stays put and conceals my dark circles. It's very, very rare. This one is a good option on days where I'm looking for like medium coverage, because it's not every day that I want to walk out of the house with a full coverage concealer on. So this one wears beautifully as a medium coverage concealer for me. Now, if your under eye area is not as dark as mine, then this would be a great option for you. But if your under eye area is as dark as mine or darker and you're looking for full coverage, this is probably not it. At least it wasn't for me. So great formula, just not full coverage for me. So that completes today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you all. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.